There she go, that bitch.
I'm here to announce that Kaitlin Armstrong was captured on June 29th by foreign officials in the Republic of Costa Rica, where she was detained on an immigration violation and deported back to the United States on July 2nd. On July 5th, the Austin Police Department extradited Armstrong from the Harris County Jail in Houston, Texas, to the Travis County Jail here in Austin, Texas, following a 43-day fugitive investigation.
Inmate running after a medical appointment from the jail guard, trying to get up and over a wall. And we're hearing it was not a spur-of-the-moment decision, that it was meticulously planned for months. Our Brian Ensign.
Well, they say that it was planned, that she's been planning it for months, that she filled out this special medical complaint form saying she was having issues and that she needed to go to an orthopedic specialist. Apparently, all of that was bogus. She wanted to go to this specific doctor as part of her plan to escape, and that she actually had on these thermal pants. That's the way they described it, thermal pants underneath those jail pants that you see, the striped ones in the video, that her plan, they say, was to rip off the striped jail pants. She'd have the thermal pants on underneath, and that she was hoping to blend in. Apparently, she didn't get that far, though, because in the video we have, she clearly still has the striped pants on.
Trying to jump over, she can't jump. The woman falls over again, twice. She already fell over once. Then she falls again, man. They need to get some sort of regimen over there. And now she's looping her ass around the tree. Loop-de-doo. Oh, and they took it back. Hey guys, it's Mel, and I'm going to be reading you the affidavit / arrest warrant for Kaitlin Armstrong. They're dubbing the story a love triangle where Colin Strickland, Kaitlin Armstrong, and Moriah Mo Wilson, which is the victim. They call it a love triangle, but it's kind of really sad that this woman, Mo, unfortunately got caught up in this messy situation with the psycho Armstrong, and Armstrong was like stalking this woman because it was like an on and off again relationship with Kaitlin and Colin, and Mo got kind of caught up in the middle of it. And in court today, they released this 911 call. We don't know the full details, but Moriah's friend had said that she literally saw her friend's brain leaking. Allegedly, this woman, Kaitlin Armstrong, shot her in the head. So here's the affidavit. Murder, first degree. On May 11, 2022, at approximately 9:56 p.m., APD Officer Martin Salinas responded to a Czech welfare urgent call at 1708 Maple Avenue in Austin, Travis County, Texas. Officer Salinas arrived on scene and located the caller, later identified as Kaitlin Cash, inside of the residence performing CPR on a female subject, later identified as Anna Wilson. Officers on scene reported Wilson had multiple defects on her body, had the appearance of gunshot wounds. Officers observed multiple fired cartridge cases on the floor near Wilson, but a firearms was not immediately observed. Wilson was pronounced deceased at 10:10 p.m. by Dr. Escott. Cash stated that the descendant was her friend, who was a professional cyclist and visiting from San Francisco. Cash advised she picked up Wilson from the airport on May 10, 2022, and Wilson had come to Austin for a bicycle race the coming weekend in Hicko, Texas. On May 11, 2022, Cash stated that she received a text message from Wilson stating Wilson was going to meet up with a friend named Colin to go swimming. Cash stated she was at a nearby residence and went home to speak with Wilson about her going out with Colin. Cash advised she left her residence around 5:30 p.m. to meet with some of her friends and have dinner. As she left, she observed Wilson's large bicycle travel bag sitting next to the front door on the elevated porch. Cash advised she went back inside and told Wilson to take the bag inside of the house before she leaves so no one steals it. Cash advised after eating with her friend, she returned to the residence and observed the large bicycle travel bag at the bottom of the stairs, partially blocking the carport. Cash advised she went inside of her residence approximately 2 minutes before she called 911 and noticed the front door of the residence was unlocked. Cash stated Wilson was observed lying on the bathroom floor covered in blood and no one else was inside. Cash advised Wilson's Specialized S-Works bicycle appeared to be stolen, but nothing else inside was missing. Officers checked the area and located Wilson's bicycle approximately 68 feet south of Cash's residence, concealed in thick bamboo. Cash identified Colin Strickland as the subject who Wilson was going to swim with. Cash further advised Strickland lives in the Austin area and is a professional cyclist sponsored by Red Bull. APD detectives were able to locate multiple photos from online open source media containing a subject named Colin Strickland, who appeared to be a professional bicycle racer sponsored by Red Bull. The subject was fully identified as Colin Strickland, a white male born November 17, 1986. Strickland's issued Texas driver license showed an address in Austin, Travis County, Texas. Cash spoke with Detective Splittler and explained that she has an electronic lock on the door to her residence that is unlocked by using a unique code. Cash stated when the unique code is used, she receives a notification on her phone advising the door has been unlocked. Cash further explained the electronic lock has a lock button on the keypad that will also alert her when the door is locked. I actually have one of those on mine as well. I'll show you guys like a picture in a video, but you can literally lock your door either from your app or from the outside of your door. There's like a keypad where you can like put your code in or just hit lock. Cash advised she provided Wilson with a unique code for only her to use. Cash showed the notification she received from the electronic lock to the Detective Spittler, who observed Cash received the notification at 5:55 p.m. showing the door was locked, indicating Wilson left to go swimming. The next notification Cash received was at 8:36 p.m. showing the unique code Wilson was provided by Cash was used to unlock the door, indicating Wilson had returned. Cash advised she recently changed the unique code and unknown to others. Detective Rolando Ramirez observed the surveillance camera mounted on the exterior of a residence near the crime scene. This residence is directly north of Cash's residence, and the camera faces a driveway next to Cash's residence. Detective Ramirez spoke with the homeowner and they allowed him to review the surveillance video. In the video, Detective Ramirez observed the dark-colored SUV drive past the residence with the surveillance cameras at 8:37 p.m., 1 minute after Wilson entered Cash's residence. According to the locking mechanism, the dark-colored SUV then slowed down, appearing to come to a stop directly next to Cash's residence. The SUV appeared to have a large bicycle rack mounted on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, a luggage rack mounted on the roof, and what appeared to be chrome around the windows. No other vehicles were observed on video surveillance passing by until marked emergency vehicles arrived. On May 12, 2022, officers assigned to the Lone Star Fugitive Task drove to the address listed in Strickland's Texas driver's license and observed a 2012 Jeep Cherokee bearing Texas license plate LDZ 5608 with a large bicycle rack mounted on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, a luggage rack mounted on the roof, and chrome around the windows that appeared to be the same vehicle observed on surveillance footage. Detective Spittler and Detective Jason Ayers responded to Strickland's listed address and spoke with Strickland. Upon arrival, Detective Spittler observed 3 vehicles in the driveway. The vehicles were identified as the following: a 2002 BMW motorcycle, a 1998 Mercedes, and the 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which was the vehicle that was seen leaving the crime scene, same license plate. Strickland voluntarily agreed to drive to the Austin Police Headquarters located at 715 East 8th Street for a formal interview. Before the interview began, Detective Spittler told Strickland he was free to leave at any time. Strickland advised that he currently lives with his girlfriend, Kaitlin Armstrong, a white female born on November 21st, 1987. Strickland stated they had been dating for approximately 3 years, but briefly ended their relationship for 1 or 2 weeks in October 2021. During Armstrong and Strickland's breakup, he met the victim, Wilson. Wilson and Strickland then had a romantic relationship before Strickland ultimately began dating Armstrong again. Strickland advised while he and Wilson were dating, Armstrong called Wilson on the phone, telling Wilson that she was the one dating Strickland. Strickland told Detective Spittler he has had to change Wilson's name in his phone so Armstrong does not know who he's speaking to as they continue their relationship. Strickland admitted he had to change Wilson's name in his phone because Armstrong had blocked Wilson's number in Strickland's phone. So the girlfriend that they broken up or got back together, Kaitlin, she goes and blocks Wilson's number in Strickland's phone. So she goes and blocks her number. Strickland also advised he has had to delete text messages on his phone to prevent Armstrong from finding them. Strickland advised he picked up Wilson on his motorcycle on the day of the murder, on May 11, 2022, at approximately 5:45 p.m. from Cash's residence, and they went to the City of Austin Deep Eddy pool located at 401 Deep Eddy Avenue, Austin, Travis County, Texas. Strickland stated after swimming, he and Wilson walked to the pool burger located at 2315 to eat. Strickland advised that after they ate, he drove Wilson back to Cash's residence on his motorcycle and dropped her off. Strickland advised as he arrived, he did not observe anyone nearby and noted the garage door to the garage located underneath Cash's residence was closed. Strickland advised he did not go inside the residence and left promptly after dropping off Wilson. Strickland advised he drove his motorcycle northbound through an alleyway until East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Strickland advised he stopped his motorcycle and sent a text from his phone to Armstrong at 8:36 p.m. This text message stated the following: "Hey, are you out? I went to drop off some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north. My phone died. Oh, Lord. Heading home unless you have another food suggestion." And meanwhile, this chick, I don't know where she was at, right? But this chick, Kaitlin, is probably watching from the bushes the entire time. Probably watching this whole thing go down. Strickland had lied about his whereabouts to Armstrong to hide he was with Wilson throughout the evening. Strickland advised he rode his motorcycle home and arrived at approximately 8:43 p.m. Strickland advised he sent another text to Armstrong. Around this time, he recalled being nearby his residence when he sent it. Strickland went into the garage and began working on his bicycles to prepare for an upcoming race. While in the garage, Strickland sent another text message to Armstrong around 9:01 p.m. Strickland advised not long after he sent that message, Armstrong arrived to the residence, driving the 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee with the large bicycle rack mounted on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, a luggage rack mounted on the roof, and chrome around the windows. Strickland advised Armstrong was the only occupant inside the vehicle. Throughout the interview, Strickland spoke very highly of Wilson and her accomplishments. Strickland advised Wilson was a professional cyclist and was assisting her with obtaining new sponsors. Strickland referred to Wilson as the best female cyclist in the United States and possibly the world. When Strickland described Armstrong, he referred to her as a participant at bicycle races while he is a racer. Strickland stated that Armstrong, in the past, she does not need to ride with him because she holds him back. Ooh. Strickland advised Armstrong normally feels as though he's grumpy while training because he has to wait on Armstrong due to her not being able to ride at a professional level. Spittler asked Strickland about the vehicles in the driveway and who owns them. Strickland advised he owns a BMW motorcycle and owns the 1998 Mercedes, and Strickland advised the other vehicle, the Jeep, is owned by Armstrong. Strickland advised he does not drive the Jeep and only Armstrong drives it. Strickland admitted to purchasing 2 firearms approximately between December 2021 and January 2022, one for himself and one for Armstrong. Strickland advised he purchased a Springfield Armory handgun for himself and a Sig Sauer handgun for Armstrong. Strickland told Detective Spittler Armstrong does not know where Wilson was staying and has never been to Cash's residence before. Strickland advised he was unaware Armstrong knew anyone in the area that murder occurred. While Detective Spittler was conducting the interview with Strickland, Detective Ayers, along with members of APD TAC Intel Unit, executed a residential search warrant which was issued by Austin Travis County Municipal Court. During the search, officers located 2 firearms in the residence as described by Strickland. The firearms were located as identified, the SIG and the Springfield. It was discovered by officers of the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force that Armstrong had an outstanding Class B warrant for her arrest. The Lone Star Fugitive Task Force located and apprehended Armstrong and was transported to the Austin Police Department Homicide Unit office where Detective Katie Connor interviewed her. During the interview, it was relayed to Detective Connor that the Class B warrant was not valid and she would be free to leave. Detective Connor advised Armstrong of the change and further advised her that she was free to leave and the door was open. Wow. So they actually had her in the room and she was still escaped to Costa Rica. Armstrong was asked if she had heard what happened in the past 24 hours. Armstrong began to nod her head and stated Strickland walked into the house and said one of the women in the cycling community had passed away. Armstrong was very still and did not move at all as they spoke. When confronted on how Strickland was talking to this girl and Armstrong's name came up during the investigation, she continued to stay quiet and completely still. When Armstrong was confronted with video evidence of her vehicle, she had no explanation as to why it was in the area and did not make any denial surrounding the statements presented to her. Detective Connor then confronted her on how Strickland went out with Wilson and that Armstrong was upset about that. Armstrong then turned her head and rolled her eyes in an angry manner. Armstrong then stated, I'm certain as to even what you mean or what he said because I didn't have any idea that he saw or even went out with this girl as of recently. When confronted about how Armstrong's vehicle was seen next to Cash's residence and how Strickland was saying certain things, Detective Connor explained she wanted her to help explain what actually happened and to help provide a logical explanation about why her vehicle was in the area. Detective Connor then stated, maybe you were upset and just in the area. Armstrong then began to nod in agreement. Detective Connor then confronted Armstrong on how seeing her vehicle in the area coupled with statements made by Strickland made things not look too good. Armstrong then again nodded her head up and down as if in agreement. Armstrong again made no effort to deny what was being said and still provided no explanation as to why her vehicle would be there. Armstrong continued to remain very still and guarded as she spoke with Detective Connor. Armstrong then requested to leave so the interview ended. On May 13, 2022, Detective Spittler contacted Wilson's friend, who was fully identified in an APD report and referred to the pseudonym Jane. Jane provided information on the condition she would remain anonymous to prevent being targeted by Armstrong, because she's a crazy bitch. Jane advised Wilson and Strickland had multiple romantic relationships together and described it as an on-again, off-again relationship. Jane stated Wilson's and Strickland's romantic relationship started during Wilson's first trip to Austin, Texas in the fall of 2021. Jane advised Armstrong discovered Wilson's phone number and contacted Wilson several times, causing Wilson to block Armstrong's phone number. Jane stated Wilson told her within the past 2 months, Armstrong began following Wilson on Instagram. Jane advised the last time Armstrong called Wilson, she told Wilson she was with Strickland and Wilson needed to stay away from him. On May 14, 2022, an anonymous caller contacted the Austin Police Department to provide information regarding the incident. The caller refused to be identified but advised she was with Armstrong in January 2022. The caller advised Armstrong had just discovered Strickland was having a romantic relationship with Wilson, even though Armstrong and Strickland were still dating. The caller advised Armstrong became furious and was shaking in anger. Armstrong told the caller Armstrong was so angry, Armstrong wanted to kill Wilson. Armstrong then proceeded to tell the caller Armstrong had either recently purchased a firearm or was going to. An initial search of Wilson's phone showed text messages regarding an event Wilson saw Strickland and Armstrong. Oh, that's awkward. The following is a message Wilson sent to Strickland while at the event in January. Hey, so I would like to talk to you at some point. I had originally texted you on Friday, but it appears my texts aren't going through again. This weekend was strange for me, and I just want to know what's going on. If you just want to be friends, seems to be the case, then that's cool, but I'd like to talk about it because honestly, my mind has been going in circles and I don't know what to think. Strickland replied the following day, Hey Mo, I feel very for putting you in a position where you don't feel comfortable. Kaitlin came along to go to a meeting about the Sprinter/Spartan hotel project. In hindsight, this was not a good idea. Based off of this conversation, Wilson appeared to be under the impression she was still in a romantic relationship with Strickland, even though he was currently dating Armstrong. During Strickland's interview, he advised he purchased a firearm for Armstrong around this time. Based off of the corroborating information discovered throughout this investigation, it would be reasonable to believe the anonymous caller is a credible witness. On May 15, 2022, Detective Spittler was canvassing the neighborhood where the murder occurred in an attempt to locate video surveillance. While searching, Detective Spittler was approached by David Harris. Harris is the property owner where Cash resides and rents the apartment above his detached garage to Cash. Harris advised on May 11, 2022, between 8:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m., he walked into his garage and partially raised the garage door. Harris advised after doing so, he heard what described as someone running down the stairs that led to Cash's front door. Harris advised he believed he observed a bicycle travel southbound through the alleyway from Cash's apartment. Throughout this investigation, detectives assigned to the APD unit, and officers assigned to the APD TAC Intel unit have collected various surveillance footage corroborating statements made by Strickland and showing Armstrong's vehicle in the area of the murder. The following is a collaboration of the video timeline. 8:16 p.m., Strickland and Wilson leave the parking lot of Pool Burger on Strickland's motorcycle. 8:26 p.m., Armstrong's vehicle drives northbound on Maple Avenue and then westbound on East 18th Street. 8:35 p.m., Strickland drives northbound through the alleyway north of East 18th Street on his motorcycle. 8:36 p.m., the unique code given to Wilson is used to unlock Cash's door to her residence. 8:37 p.m., Armstrong's vehicle appears to stop next to Cash's residence. 8:48 p.m., Strickland drives southbound in the 4900 block of South I-35 southbound frontage road, approximately 8 miles from Cash's residence. With the timelines being so close, it's like, I don't know if she was tracking him, Armstrong, if she was tracking this guy Strickland. I think his first name is Colin. If she was tracking him like on, I don't know, like an app or iPhone, the My Find phone, whatever. Because she was like, literally, the timing was like spot on. On May 17, 2022, the SIG 9mm belonging to Armstrong, which was recovered from Strickland's residence, was test fired using laboratory ammunition. The fired test cartridge shell case from the SIG was entered into the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, NIBIN. The fired test cartridge case was compared microscopically to the shell cases located next to the body. The NIBIN investigative lead was developed through the correlation review of ballistic evidence. The potential that the same firearm involved is significant. This makes me flash back to yesterday where the defense was like forensics, ballistics, like during the opening statements, like dismissing like scientific methods. He's like,
and I want you to listen when those experts tell you DNA reporting can mean very little. And ballistic science isn't a science at all.
oh shit, you said ballistic science. What? He might be right though, I don't know.
Highly regarded by members of the general scientific.
I thought they did deem that accurate or not. Is it just like an estimate or something? I thought ballistics was pretty. I thought they had those bullets leave like a special. Each bullet that comes from a gun or a gun that fires has like a special type of signature or something.
I'm going to object to that. There's no evidence that it's not highly regarded by the general science community just because you can find one or two people to say that.
Judge, these are opening remarks. This is what we expect the evidence to show.
Yeah, this is opening, man. It's Wild Wild West. You're over here trying to censor me and shit.
Thank you.
I say what the hell I want to say.
Before that objection was overruled, we were talking about ballistic science and how that is far from the gold standard that you see it depicted as on TV. Now, the states and the officers with the Austin Police Department and the scientists that they employ, they were so desperate.
This guy's something else, bro. Every time they talk about science and facts, he's like, Strickland's statements have been corroborated through video surveillance and physical evidence. Strickland has cooperated with the investigation and has voluntarily provided statements to homicide detectives. Armstrong is the only person who resides with Strickland at the residence and has access to the SIG. Video surveillance shows Strickland leaving the area after dropping off Wilson and shows Armstrong's vehicle arriving to Cash's residence where Wilson was staying. Armstrong has made prior statements expressing a desire to kill Wilson. Strickland advised Detective Spittler he has not spoken with Armstrong since May 13, 2022. Per anonymous tips reported to the APD Homicide Unit, Armstrong has deleted her social media accounts and has not been seen or heard from this time either. Detective Spittler was able to view Armstrong's Instagram account the day after the murder, May 12, 2022, but after searching through the open source records, found it has now been deleted. Wow.